Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Medical Mindset Coach podcast. My name is Star Freudenberg and I am your host for this wonderful podcast. And maybe in the near future, I might be a co-host as well that will join us. But for now, it's just going to be all me. And I still chuckle to myself because after finally launching the podcast and then sort of getting feedback and downloads, it is quite a really, really weird and wonderful thing at the same time if you really look at it for what it is boiled down to its reality, is that I'm basically just sitting in a room talking to myself and you're just hoping, with really good hope and faith, sort of like someone who is religious and believes in the higher powers and beings above us, and the greater things out there in the universe, that, hopefully this will reach people and actively that people will want to listen. And hopefully each week when I launch a new episode that people go, yeah, I'm really excited to listen. So hopefully that will get around to it, because right now I just feel like it's a really, really beautiful day today because I have a wonderful flat on the seafront. So I've got this beautiful sea just glistening with the sun at me, and I'm just thinking, wow, I'm sitting in a room trying to share the love, trying to share the light, trying to share information about self-help and, get people really to help them find their purpose. And I'm just also thinking sort of like a kid, like, oh, I really would love to be outside, but here I am doing the good deeds and helping. So hopefully it's not for waste. But anyway, that's sort of my side note. So just to let you know, the goal and aim for this podcast is to be weekly, and even, if I dare say so myself, hopefully even more than once a week. So I know different podcasts can be 5 minutes or 20 minutes or 2 hours, but the idea after you sort of launching these first couple of episodes is really just to sort of get you bite-sized information about different topics, different ideas. And yes, some will take longer, some will be shorter, some will be more informative, and some will be concise and straight to the point. So, it's going to be a really mixed bag of things, but applicable to everyone, and hopefully empowering you and imparting knowledge onto you that you can improve yourself, improve your life, improve your health, and then become the custodian and sort of role model of the people in your circle, and then passing that knowledge on to them. And then, sort of person by person by person, that's how we change the world. So I'm a very, very big believer in sort of teamwork and being, a community, helping each other, because, sort of my background, how I've been raised is I always had to do everything by myself. And you cannot make the amount of progress that you can individually versus or compared to in a group setting. And that's sort of how we are. We're primitive animals, always working in a pack, in a tribe. And I really sort of, one of the things I'd like to do as well is just really kind of bring a reminder to everyone out there that that's what our nature is. And sort of at the moment, everyone's living in a more isolated format, and especially more so, especially bringing more even awareness about how the reality of it is with COVID, that everyone had to be alone and experience more tangible realities of what it is to be isolated and not being able to go out, and even sort of numb yourself or block that out. Because, if people go out and drink all the time or do drugs all the time, you're numbing yourself and sort of, I would say, sort of creating a distraction or disguise or a mirage that you don't even have the awareness to even think you're probably doing something in isolation. So it's really, really a good time to bring it back to basics and say, hey, we are a group kind of people. We are tribes kind of people. So, let's work together, because everyone is a genius in their own right. Everyone is much better in a different skill than you. Is equally you are better at a skill than everyone else. So if we can bring all of those powerful resources together, imagine the world we would have and the world we'd be creating as a collective. So anyway, that's sort of just gone on a tangent there, but just letting you know, that's sort of what I think at the moment. So one of the wonderful feedbacks about the first podcast was people don't even know who I am, what I'm about, what do I do, where do I work. And I thought, oh gosh, yeah, so sort of quite young and naive, thinking like I was just so excited to get the first episode out, just trying to just sort of get my message out and just say, you know, what I really would like to achieve. I just forgot to completely mention who I am and what I do, and also where I do it. And a lot of people said, wow, you got a very different or / interesting accent, and where does that come from? So I thought today this episode would be sort of just creating a little bit of background about me. Yay! It's always fun talking about yourself, like I say, in a room alone. So I find that quite funny. But anyway, I'm going to go for it. So it's sort of like an interview to myself. So I originate, or I was born in South Africa, and sort of the mentality in South Africa was when you grow up, you kind of have to sort of block yourself into one of 3 categories, either becoming a lawyer, a doctor, or an accountant, because these are the highly recognized careers. And so I fell into the loop of studying accounting, and unbeknownst to me at the time, which I found really difficult, is accounting in South Africa is one of the most highly recognized qualifications, because it's a very intensive and even longer qualification than the rest of the world. So typical, we get your degree at 3 years and you have to do an extra year, which we call an honors. And then from that, you do a 3 years internship at hopefully a top 4 firm. So I worked at Deloitte, so a very well-known company around the world. And at the end of your 3 years, well, you're doing an internship or apprenticeship, you have to do exams and study at the same time. So interestingly, I remember when I was in university, and maybe they put the fear of God in you, but they said it's only 7% of people pass everything first time. So I think that's why it's a highly recognized qualification around the world, because it's such a transferable skill, because we learn about strategy, management, business relationships, client relationships, costing, factors, accounting, tax, business making, business decisions. It's just so all-encompassing that basically we become such a, I would say, powerful skill set person or holder that you can be able to do any job in the world. And I've seen so many chartered accountants being able to just sort of transfer into a different industry and really, really hit it out the park and do extremely well. But sort of, how can I explain it? It's just sort of, this is the thing. So I was doing something because I felt like I had no choice, but I had to make a choice. I always felt like in high school, it's not very customized or personalized to you as a person. So I don't find, or even people here in England say secondary school. So I say we raised in American terminology, high school. I don't really feel like they finding what your best qualities are, or, who you are supposed to be, or determined on some of your personality traits, or the way you think, or how you behave, or sort of how you learn, or how you can teach, sort of accentuating your qualities to find really what could be the right career choice for you. And when I finished high school, I sort of was like, I don't really know what I want to study. And you have these couple of career days, but it's not very in depth for me. It's very generic. And I also feel, or have always felt like, the people who are there are intentionally selling it to its best aspect. And you don't really know the truth and the depths of it all. And unfortunately, so when I was 17, I had a really, really tough year. It was my final year of school. And this is actually when I used to live with my father and my brother, because my mother wasn't actively in the picture due to certain circumstances when I was younger. And unfortunately, my father got really, really sick and he went to hospital. And a week before my finals, he had passed away. And unfortunately, they had to take away the house, and I was left with sort of nothing really, no resources, no understanding, understanding of where to go, how to look after myself, because I needed that parental type of character or role to really help me with the most critical next step. And of course, I was absolutely terrified. And my poor brother at the same time. We were just really left sort of quite literally. And I mean, I do quite literally mean this, on the streets. And I'm thinking, wow, and my father's just passed away. I don't even know how to process this. I don't even have the emotional tools. I'm so young. To come home to finding your house being repossessed by the banks because, sort of just how everything works with the mortgage, and saying that, need to pay the bills and make sure everything gets covered. And my wonderful, 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 I would even call her guardian angel. It was my father's girlfriend at the time, whose name is Diana Burnett. She literally swooped in and actually adopted me at the time, and then really helped me get into university. And I just really didn't even know what the next step was. And again, unbeknownst to me, because I lacked this understanding, is I dropped accounting in high school after second year in high school, so we call it grade 9. And I assumed if you wanted to continue something in university, you would have needed to know or continued the subject that you were finishing in your last year of secondary school, high school. And I didn't do accounting because I did quite a strange mix of subjects. Everyone said to me, they're like, I don't really know what you want to be with these kind of subjects. And I said, great, I'm just exploring everything. So in South Africa, we have sort of as a compulsory, we call them compulsory subjects. We had 4 that we have to do, whereas one is English, second one is mathematics, the third one is a second language. So in South Africa, we speak another language called Afrikaans. It's likened to basically Dutch, but more medieval, as they've always said. So when I go to Netherlands or Amsterdam, it's very easy for me. There's just the way some of the words are spelled quite differently, but mean the same thing, or the way things are pronounced, or sort of the sentence structure is changed around. So that was compulsory during my age. But when I was in the last year of secondary school, they finally trying to make it more in the sense of equality, since we had a really big sort of issue over the years with racism, and we experienced something called apartheid, or people say apartheid, with obviously quite a segregation of the races. So there are 12 different African languages in our country, and sort of as a gain a sense of equality, they brought in at the final year, which I really, really was so happy to hear. And I wish sooner, because I would have loved to learn, because I learned it in primary school, because one of our teachers, she was a white teacher, but she could speak African languages. So she used to teach us a couple of things, because back in the day in primary school, teachers basically had the one class for every day. Sorry, I can hear a car or a motorbike. So one teacher, so she basically say just sort of was trying to empower us and educate us and broaden our knowledge. So that was really, really beautiful. So that came in, but at that stage I had to continue to finish Afrikaans. And then the last one is, and I've seen over the years in different countries, is interchangeable. We call them life orientation. So whether it's life skills, it's got all encompassing with physical activity, then creating your CV, sort of next steps, sex education, etc. like that. But it was quite a fun subject, because it's quite easy, right? Everyone sort of knew the basics, do some exercise, do this, get creative. We kind of like rolled our eyes when we had to create a CV, thinking like, oh, this is so much effort. But little did we know back in the day how worth it was actually. But I'll never forget my teacher here because I went to a couple of different high schools, but his name was Mr. Smith. So now that I watch The Matrix, I always go, Mr. Smith. But anyway, he was a very, very funny character. He was quite strict, and he didn't believe in that you can always be right or 100%. So I laughed the one time because we had a test that was a yes or a no, straightforward. If it's 10 out of 10, you've got 10 yeses, 10 no's, you get 100%, and then he'll take 10% off and he'll be like, that's 90%. And you'll be like, sir, I don't understand. He's like, I don't believe people get 100%, so that's it. So I thought that was quite funny. Anyway, so then my remaining 3, so you can do 3 additional subjects or 4. But I ended up only doing 3 because I wanted to take the extra lesson to do extra murals and extra activities. So I did French, business, and history. So in essence, those subjects didn't really have anything to take me into into university with. So I panicked and I thought, you know what, I really, really like marketing. So I initially signed up for marketing. So I thought that was really, really great because I really love it. I love advertising. Since I was about 15 years old, I've been doing promotions and any advertisements, leaflets, anything kind of the sorts in the shops, marketing shampoos or foods or whatever, selling technology or phones or just many, many things. And then over 18, then doing alcohol brands. So it was really, really fun and I really enjoyed it. So I thought, like, I'm very charismatic. I really love talking to people. I really love engaging with people. So then I thought marketing just seemed like the logical next step. So I signed that up. Unbeknownst to me, my boyfriend at the time, he is 1 year older than me, and he signed up for university the year prior, and he signed up for accounting and ended up dropping out because it wasn't his true calling. So he basically just took over everything. And then marketing's accounting is a different level of accounting. It's a lower level of accounting, obviously, because it's not the skill you're mastering in. It's marketing, right? So he ended up by mistake signing me up to the proper accounting under accounting because he just sort of did it, how can I say, unconsciously. And then I just sort of went with it. I didn't even know the difference. I just went to classes and actually, like a nerd, I really enjoyed accounting. I was like, oh, I haven't done this for years. So it was really, really, really fun for me. And the only reason why I dropped it in school is because I didn't have a great relationship with the new teacher. She was really, really strict and she didn't really appreciate that I was always asking questions. So she really got irritated with me and then intentionally would always not help, or if I had to say like this, this is the approach, I really just as we say, we grated her tits. And then she basically just said no, I don't enjoy it. And I thought, oh well, I don't really want to learn from a teacher that's not into me or open to helping, open to teaching me, and actively doesn't. So I dropped it. So I got really, really excited back in university when I was like, oh, I really enjoy this. So I did really, really well in university. And I remember this one time because when you start, you're like, I think like a couple of thousand students in accounting, it's this massive rooms, they fit so many people and it's ridiculous. And then the dean of accounting walked in and said, whoever's name I'm going to mention now, you need to stand up. So then people started getting called and we didn't know what this was. Everyone was stressing, like you were thinking, oh gosh, what's this all about? And anyway, my name got called and then I thought, oh God, have I done something wrong? And you just sort of go into this fight or flight or freeze or stress mode thinking like, did I do something? Do they think I cheated? Or, you just go like, oh God, and my friends were like gulping. And she said, I really want you to applaud these people because these people achieved 97% or higher in their accounting exam. So I thought, oh gosh, that's really exciting and cool. And then anyway, I got personally called into the dean's office and she said, well, why are you studying marketing? When you have like a high level of intelligence, you can do accounting. And I said, well, I'm on a bursary. This is what happened to me last year. I don't have financial means. And, I didn't even think I could do accounting, and just as the reason I've just explained. So she said, yeah, that's cool. She said, what happens if I pay for all your studies for the remaining 4 years, I pay for all your books, and all you need to do is make sure you pass? And I said, yeah, absolutely. I totally love that because, university is quite expensive. But what you also may not know is books are even more expensive than the university itself. So having all that covered, I was like, absolutely. So I thought, great. So, because you need to bear in mind when you're studying at university, you kind of want to make sure you're doing a subject that can be used anywhere around the world. So I was thinking I'd love to do law, I'd love to do tax, but that's limited to the legislation within South Africa. So that meant, okay, well, if I wanted to move overseas, which I've always wanted to do because I've got like a gypsy nature spirit, like nomadic nature, I want to travel all the time. I thought, well, that's not going to be possible. That's going to limit me. So I had to do something that was more transferable, transposable. So yeah. So anyway, did my time, did my 7 years, and then and this is probably going to be quite common, you'll hear from chartered accountants. It's a really, 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 really extremely difficult time. You know, some liken it to a prison sentence, or, you know, and you'll see a lot of people who are highly qualified as a chartered accountant, but they don't stay doing auditing or in the firms because it's just not fun. It's just not fun. I don't know how else to say it. So anyway, so I ended up getting asked to do a secondment. So this is what I call like a booby trap or a retainer, to try and keep people that they've trained for so many years, to not lose skilled people that they've invested so much in, that they say, okay, well, if you stay with us for another 3 to 6 months, we will pay for you your flight, your food, give you a daily food allowance to travel anywhere in the world that you can get a contract to with Deloitte and work at an international Deloitte office. So I was like, oh, that's really great. Okay, I'm absolutely open to that. And I finished my contract early because I did almost double the amount of hours that you needed to do to get signed off and qualify, because I had really, really challenging clients. Like Nando is a really, really in-depth client, and a big international mining company called Glencore. These were my 2 massive clients. So I had to work on a mine in Africa, in the Congo. So that was really, really fascinating and incredible to see sort of the breakdown of the structures and the processes. And again, as a nerd, I really enjoyed going on a lot of stock takes, because then I got to see all of the, how can I call it? All of the sort of, like you see on that TV program, how it's made, get to ask the questions and, you know, show enthusiasm to see like how incredible the world is with the processes and the thinking and the engineering and the structuring and the strategy and etc. etc. So anyway, so I had a choice between working in the UK, Luxembourg and France. And through the strategy of my traveling choices and, you know, the earning ratio and cost of living, I ended up picking the UK. So I came to the UK, I came here, and then I thought, okay, great, we're going to give it a go. And it was just the same difficulty, just different place. So I kind of made the executive decision, I need to get out of this. I ended up moving into finance, thinking like I'm going to be on the other side of the fence, or the client side, as they've always said, it's better, you get more benefits. And then I decided actually it's just the same thing, just different sides. So why am I not happy? And I really started having an existential crisis, you know, that's commonly said, thinking like, is this what I really want? And I always used to remember sitting to like 10 p.m. at night in the office, sort of by myself, and those automatic lights would always be switching off and you have to move, going like, oh gosh, I haven't moved in God knows how long. And thinking to myself, I hate staring at the computer. I hate it. I don't feel like we're having an exchange of energy. I don't feel like I'm making the computer happier. The computer is certainly not making me happier. So what do I do? What is it that I want? And my boyfriend, again, at the time said to me, he's like, I said, you know, what can I do? I've invested so much time into this skill. It would be such a waste to let it go. You know, like nearly 10 years down the drain. And it got me thinking, this is probably why they make degrees so long. Because when people finally get to the other side and think like 5 years in, 10 years in, that it's not their calling or their purpose, you kind of get instantly demotivated thinking, like I can't find the strength or the determination or the motivation or have realistically the time or energy to be able to do that all again. So people get stuck sort of on this hamster wheel thinking, they can't change. They don't have it in them to find that change. But I said to myself, if I don't change, I might as well die. Like I was really at that point. Like I said, I am not fulfilled. I'm not happy. So either I push myself to the extreme for a couple of years while I retrain while working, then make that shift and I did it, and it was extremely difficult, but I made the jump. I took the leap of faith and I jumped with the advice of my partner, because he at the time was doing alternative medicine. And to all of those, what does that mean? It just means doing healing in a natural way. Basically like doctor work without anything that's going to harm the bodies, like pharmaceuticals or antibiotics, because there are powerful or even extremely more powerful natural methods on how to do this that don't have any side effects because you're doing everything naturally, right? So then I started with one qualification, for example, which I started with was reflexology. So he, at the time, his predominant therapy was massage. So I said, oh, maybe I should just do like you, massage therapy. I'll learn about the body, anatomy, physiology. And he just said to me, no, he said, do not do that, because do you know probably every single client you'll have will ask you for a happy ending. And I thought, oh my gosh, like I definitely, I wouldn't know how to, handle the situation, because you want to be professional at the same time. You don't want to be mean. You don't want to lose business. You know what I mean? It's just so unnecessary to even put yourself in that. So I was like, okay, great. So massage is definitely off the card. So what next? And he said, I think you should study reflexology. And to those who don't know what reflexology, it's basically using Chinese medicine principles on the feet, where you will if you look at it in perception, it looks like a foot massage or a foot rub, but it's a specialized gentle technique where you touch certain points on the foot. And we say that the foot, as well as the hand or the face or the stomach, and the ear is the microcosm of the body. So it's encompassing in that one body part everything in the body. So I can touch certain parts on your foot or on your hand or on your face or in your ear. And this is where acupuncturists come in as well, that I can find out what's wrong inside your body and then do certain techniques to be able to help repair or re-energize or correct those imbalances that, is identified. And then obviously with other skills, then you can say, okay, change this in your diet, change this in your lifestyle. And then slowly you get better. But it's very, very powerful, yet so simple. So I started doing that, and then I just started building on. But my main modality to date, I would say, is colonic hydrotherapy. So I do different things at the moment. So let me just try and think, because I say I do just under 30 different modalities at the moment, but because I'm forever studying, it's just going to go on and on and on and on and on. And I don't know. I always laugh to myself, whatever age. Oops. Sorry, my speaker just dropped there. So I always laugh at myself going, I wonder, whatever age I'll pass away, just say like 80, for example. I mean, that's a good number, I think, to have lived a full life, like I wonder how many skills I'll have by then, sort of like how many things will I have in my money bag, sort of like Santa, my Santa present bag, like that I've accumulated over the years. And goodness, I'm sure there'll be lots. So about 30 to date. And the ones I'm going to mention, but I probably won't remember all of them, but let's just go with it. So do something called reflexology, Reiki, colonic hydrotherapy, crystal healing, cacao, sound healing, breath work, intramuscular jab, so that's vitamin B12, vitamin C, vitamin D. I do nutrition, I do counseling, I do cacao therapy, I do Kambo, I do shamanic healing, I do nutrition, I do something called bioenergetics, I do tarot card reading, I do divination, I do distance healing work, channeling, so be able to give you sort of energy readings as well. What else do? I do so many things, but at the moment I'm adding kinesiology and Chini Tsang, and oh yes, I do also Hopi ear candling and hijama or cupping, as other people may know it, wet cupping or dry cupping or fire cupping. Gua sha. I do lymphatic massage. I do facial healing massage as well. So sort of like an ozone where it sort of lifts the face. I do aesthetic work called kabaksi. I do Elaine Brennan skin peeling. So it's a gentle chemical peel that helps basically remove all the dead skin layers of the body, of the face, and sort of rejuvenates your body, and then helps your body to re-stimulate and rebuild elastin and collagen. So basically giving you a youthful looking appearance again. So sort of they say it's like, take off 10 years in just a week. What else do I do? I think that's a good amount to list so far. But yeah, there's quite a few things at the moment, and things are quite complementary in the sense. So you can add also, like back flowers as well. I used to do so a bit of homeopathy, tuning forks. So you cover anything. Anyway, so long story short, there's some things I can do online, like for example, counseling. I can do nutrition and diet. I can do energy work. I can also do advice. I can do help with belief systems. Lots of these different little things that don't require me to obviously do touch techniques. That would be helpful, because then it helps, first of all, make it more accessible to those who need or have needs internationally, and as well as if people don't have a lot of time to be able to travel. So I think it's quite helpful. So I'm based in the United Kingdom. I work out of London. I don't live in London because I think London's quite a difficult place to live in. I've tried it, but it's full of pollution, low energy, a lot of EMF exposure, so electromagnetic frequency exposure, radiation, lots of signals from phones, computers, electronics, pollution in the air, and also a lot of sound pollution as well. Not just sort of pollution that you can sort of ingest from all the chemicals, but sound pollution as well. And I feel also sort of like a lack of sense of privacy, like, sort of like everyone is living on top of each other. Sort of the walls are very thin between different people's places, unless you have the extreme affordability that you can be able to get your own place, but it's not very common. But I've been very, very blessed to find a wonderful place just outside in Hastings. That's by the sea, and it's a very, very grounding, beautiful place that, the energy of the sea and forests nearby, and really, really kind, wonderful people, and very creative people as well. So I really enjoy being around a lot of creative people who have wonderful skills, sort of in all different ways, being artists, painters, musicians, photographers, actors, singers, in whatever form. And you just think, wow, this is really, really incredible. So that's where I stay. But also I work down here. So just being able to slowly make the skills and knowledge that I have accessible to all that need and want it. And yes, I think that is enough about me for today. So hopefully that wasn't too long, or maybe very interested to hear. But again, like I say, I'm just sitting by myself, talking to myself, just hoping this kind of information will get out there. So what I was thinking to do, and I've got sort of mixed reviews and feedback about it, but I've decided every following episode that's going to come out, I'm going to talk about one of the therapies that I do. Like, so for example, talking about colonic hydrotherapy, and sort of talk about what is it, because a lot of the things that I actually do, a lot of people don't know or don't understand, or maybe don't even value / or appreciate what kind of healing and benefits you can get from something yet so simple, so natural, and like I was going to say, and yet so powerful, that can be quite life transforming. And then follow-up episodes are going to be maybe little shorter bits, sort of nuggets, golden nuggets, just to talk about general things. So I'm very excited to talk in one of the upcoming episodes about food allergies and intolerances. And also I think that I will start to sort of, unlike today's episode, more organically slip in more about me, who I am, what makes me me, and, sort of a couple of stories that, I've experienced in my life that sort of brought me about to what I do or how I understand things. So it's sort of more organic than compared to this episode where I feel like I'm just talking or sort of like blurting out my heart and being vulnerable to Lord knows only who, right? So I think it's quite funny. So you'll tend to find that I'm going to say quite a unique character in the sense that I'm very playful, I'm very engaging, I'm very how can I say, very, very unconventional, I think is the right way to go with it. But at the same time, extremely on the ball, very professional, very on the point, and I actually have skills to help. So, I find that a lot of the work can be quite serious, it can be quite draining, can be quite tiring. So why do we always have to be monotonous and sort of like low key? I mean, if I just sort of give you the visual, like going into a doctor's office, it's very serious, it's very intense, you're dreading to go in there. It's, seen or perceived as a negative thing. But, you come into my space, my clinic, where I'm operating as a holistic doctor, it's really fun. It's very joyful, and sort of the relationships that I generate with you start as a patient, but then we become friends and we sort of go on our life journey together. And that really helps us to explore more depth to you, your foundations, your roots, your anything that goes all the way so deep down that we can really then start to do the deep work, rewiring, figuring out what's, maybe some patterns that maybe you didn't even know you had, or any belief systems you didn't know how to rewire, where the origin started. Sorry. And sort of just taking it from there. And I think that's probably why, being the person that I am, I'm able to get results with people because, you're open with me, you're trusting with me, and in your most natural state and purest form that you can trust me because I do absolutely have your best interest at heart. And that's just my passion and my purpose. I care for people, I want to help people, and I will help people, and I'll always be in service till the day I die, because that's just who I am. That's just who I am. So, and if you don't know who you are and you don't know how to help yourself and you just need a little bit of coaching and guidance, then that's exactly what I'm here for. So, if you'd like to get in contact with me, because I realized in the last episode, this is also something I didn't do, which, would seem obvious, but, again, wasn't my natural go-to. So my business is called Medical Mindset Coach, and I am acting as the Medical Mindset Coach. So, I really, really hope in due course that, as this project seems to gain some traction and really, even if I dare say some popularity, people be like, yeah, go to this person, she can really help you, the Medical Mindset Coach, have you heard about her? And, in due course with the books and courses I'll launch and publish, then you'll be like, oh, have you read the book? So I really sort of like the catchphrase, this is how I want to be known as, even despite that my name is probably just as extremely unique that, it would be really, really funny to know sort of what would be more preferred. Is it Starlight or Star? And, my surname has always been a mouthful, Freudenberg or Freudenberg. I'm very, very interested in psychology. So, I was even sort of wondering, the etymology of, Sigmund Freud, and sort of his sort of nature and being. And then I have Freud in my surname, thinking like, oh, is there some like energetic resemblance or something like that? So does your name determine who you are and the nature of your being? Some deeper philosophical questions. Or, just a nice catchphrase, the Medical Mindset Coach. So in order to find me, there's many, many ways. So I have a website called www.medicalmindsetcoach.com. or you can find me on Instagram or Facebook at The Medical Mindset Coach. If you want to, for example, book an appointment, there is a WhatsApp number, and it's the area code, because it's the UK, is +44. So +44 7397885590, or if you're UK, it's 07397885590. And if you have any questions or you need any help or whatever, I'm absolutely open and ready to be of service. And also going forward, because I've also just launched a YouTube channel, again, Medical Mindset Coach. There's going to be, if again, you're active and interested in these podcasts and what information is going to be relayed in the future, there equally are going to be videos that are going to be uploaded that are going to be showing you and demonstrating some techniques visually, because, some people are more, for example, in terms of a learning capability or capacity, respond better visually or auditory or sensory. So I'm personally a visual person and auditory. So yeah, I speak a lot, in terms of my capacity. So I really so I'll be demonstrating techniques, like sort of how, if you have a headache, here's a simple trick in 10 seconds, what to do and how to help you. Or, if you feel nauseous, or if you have a stiff neck, do this trick in 1 minute. Or there's going to be some meditations I'm going to launch. There's going to be some couple of sort of Qigong or Tai Chi type exercises, things to help you with your hips, your posture. And, it's going to probably blow your mind like it did with me when I learned them. It's so simple. It's so simple. Like things you can do 8 to 10 seconds or / a minute. And almost instantly your issue or your ailment will have improved or increased or even just disappeared. And you just think, what the hell? Why did I not know this sooner? And that's sort of exactly what I am. I'm sort of just trying to be this broadcaster, or this person who's gone out and done all the hard work, accumulated all the information, and I'm coming here just to give you the summarized versions. And, then you can incorporate it in your day-to-day and then be able to, there's an alarm going off, be able to, fire alarm, starting up in here. Maybe I should wait. Okay, it's gone. Sorry, I'll just playful. And so to be able, I've lost my train of thought. See, I find it so difficult. So should I just not? I should just stop the recording and then start again, or sort of just go with it organically, because sounds are happening everywhere. So I just think let's just go with it, right? But I found my train of thought. And just basically what I want to do is just teach you very simple, very natural techniques. So it would be good to invite you to log on to YouTube and then just find my profile and subscribe, so that when I start launching more videos and equally podcasts, then you'll be able to have access to that. So I'm almost certain that in every episode that I will launch in terms of the podcast platform, if there is a matching video, I'll say, okay, by the way, I've also launched or going to upload a video sort of demonstrating the technique. So just to keep you on track in case you haven't subscribed. But as always, as I always say, I'd like to please invite you to like this podcast, leave a nice review. So it will obviously help sort of grow its nature and platform to make it more available to others, to help them and find it, so that I can help them and then their people and their circles going forward. And equally, if you're open to, please do subscribe onto YouTube channel. And I think that is enough of me for today. So I will be with you next week. So I'm wishing you a lovely day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. And if you are on this side of the hemisphere, it's very exciting times, because summer is finally starting. Kind of seems like COVID is, the reality of the actual virus has not disappeared, but sort of the parameters and frameworks and sort of guidelines that everyone's had to follow with mask wearing, not being able to go out, having to isolate. So it just seems like a forgotten memory all of a sudden. And I think people are really going to truly value and appreciate the summer more than ever than in their lives ever. So really, really looking forward to that. But of course, obviously, stay healthy, eat the right food, be conscious, be cautious, obviously, so we can sort of just mitigate this and not sort of create a new variant, because I've heard now that there's a new variant that has arisen in France. So let's hope to not create a new lockdown when we have this absolutely wonderful weather on our doorsteps now. So always with lots of love, lots of light. I'm thanking you for listening to this podcast with lots of gratitude, and hopefully I'll catch you on the next one. So over and out. My name is Star Freudenberg. I'm the medical mindset coach. Have a great day.